The top stories. Official says clear signs recovery not far away. Call for alcohol testing in schools and workplaces. And the Sandwich Marathon that ended in Barbados with an engagement ring. Welcome to Nation News for Wednesday, May the 21st, 2014. A government-financed aide took a message of understanding and hope to the Senate when it began debating that big jump in the borrowing limit. Senator Jephthah Ince, a parliamentary secretary in the Finance Ministry, said the administration was not proud of the fact that it has had to lay off thousands of public officers, but said it was a necessary part of the critical economic restructuring that must be carried out. Seeking to inject some hope, he said that there were already clear signs that economic recovery was around the corner, and the government now had to push ahead with redirecting and diversifying the economy. Senator Ince said ministers understood that job losses impacted negatively on families. He was leading off the debate on a resolution that sought to allow borrowing under the Treasury Bills and Tax Certificates Act to be increased from $1.25 billion to $4 billion. A church minister wants breathalyzer testing currently earmarked for drivers to be extended to secondary schools and workplaces. Pastor David Durant, who is also a government senator, made the call at a ceremony held by the National Committee for the Prevention of Alcoholism and Drug Dependency to mark the 105th anniversary of the first recorded road fatality here. He also said the time had come for all vehicles to reach the market with breathalyzer machines already installed. Mr. Durant said legislation to facilitate testing for blood alcohol content would save deaths and injuries on the road. Lionfish, which are now headed to a restaurant table near you, can be a pain, and fishermen have tended to avoid them in the past because of the very painful sting they can deliver. But officials say this fast-producing and voracious species is no real threat to the average nearshore sea bather, as they are found among reefs way out in the sea.
I don't think that there's really anything to worry about in terms of interaction with the lionfish. The fish is like any other regular reef fish. When you approach it, it just moves away from you. If you do get stung, though, the remedy is to immerse your wound in water above 40-degree temperatures. And the venom is only located in a few of the outer spines, and about 13 of the outer spines.
A senior official in the Ministry of Agriculture has blamed unpatriotic importers and lack of proper local market research for a glut of some crops. Permanent Secretary Ellsworth Reed told Nation News that there is an overabundance of lettuce, cucumbers, and tomatoes, as importers bring in cheap substitutes instead of purchasing local produce. Mr. Reed also cited what he calls the bandwagon behavior of some farmers who cultivate crops they believe will do well instead of those which are in demand. He was speaking after the launch of a pilot system for better produce market information. Miles Hilton Barber may be blind, but he has a clear vision of what's going on around the world. The British adventurer and motivational speaker has some advice for Barbadians during these economic times. All that's necessary for the enjoyment of life is a change of attitude, he says. Mr. Barber, who is the first blind pilot to undertake a 55-day, 21,000-kilometer flight from London to Sydney, will be the featured speaker at Variety International's World Conference underway in Barbados. Proceeds from the conference will go towards the purchase of coaches to transport children with special needs. In sport, national netballers are stepping up their preparations for the Commonwealth Games with a 3-match test series against St. Lucia next week. Barbados, who are currently ranked 9th in the world, have not lost to 15th place St. Lucia since 2008 and will be expected to win the series. Coaches Anna Shepherd and Sandra Bruce Small will therefore likely utilize all 25 trialists to find the right mix for the Glasgow Games later this year. The matches will be played at the Netball Stadium with the action beginning at 8 each night. next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So Gary Sobers will visit Frinton in the southeast of England next month to cement the growing relationship between Frinton Cricket Club and the Barbados Cricket Association. Frinton have developed close ties with Barbados in recent years by signing up-and-coming players Raymond Reefer and Justin Graves. Club spokesman Russell Everson said it would be an honor to host the West Indies great. So Gary will visit the club, then host the dinner at which he will talk about his life in cricket and take questions from the audience. And finally, a New York Post reporter whose boyfriend promised her an engagement ring when she made him 300 sandwiches has finally got it in Barbados. Stephanie Smith has run her blog called 300 Sandwiches since 2012, when her boyfriend was so impressed by one of her homemade sandwiches that he declared, "Honey, you are 300 sandwiches away from an engagement ring." Ms. Smith went on to blog about hundreds of sandwiches she created for her boyfriend, Eric Schultz. He recently proposed in Barbados at number 256, 44 sandwiches short. Her blog said she was working on sandwich 257, what she called the fish killer fish cutter, when he proposed. Where do you think she got the term fish cutter from? And you can really look at that fish cutter by logging on to her website, 300sandwiches.com. And there you can also find the link to her newspaper article in the New York Post. That's Nation News for today. It's available on our website, nationnews.com, on Facebook, Twitter, and on our YouTube channel.